everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Liana. Today we'll be carrying on my Studio Ghibli review and a look series, and today's movie is Pom Poko. Pom Poko is a 1994 movie directed by Isao Takahata and is about a community of tanuki whose home is at risk of being infringed upon and demolished in favor of new real estate development. In order to prevent this from happening, warring clans of tanuki begin to put aside their differences and to work together, taking advantage of the superstitious nature of the humans by using their shape-shifting abilities to scare them off the land. Now, the very first thing that you need to know about Pom Poko is that it relies very heavily on Japanese folklore and mythology in its story, but because of the translation, you don't really get the full message. Throughout both the English dubbed and subbed versions of the movie, the tanuki are referred to as simple raccoons. While they may appear similar, this distinction is important because they are not actually the same animal. Tanuki are a real animal in Japan, most similarly resembling raccoon bears, but in folklore as the Bake-danuki, they have magical powers. As already mentioned, they wield an incredible ability to shapeshift into various objects, into other animals, and even into human beings. They also have magic pouches. That is to say, the men have magic balls, capable of stretching into different shapes. In legend, they've been known to use both their testicles and their bellies as drums, which is where the name Pom Poko comes from, as this is thought to be the sound that they made while playing their instruments. The kitsune, or fox, is another shape-shifting creature that we see in the movie, whereas the tanuki have a gentler, kinder, and even lazier nature. The kitsune are thought to be more mischievous tricksters, which is something that we can also see on screen. There are many yokai that we see the tanuki shapeshift into in their attempts to scare off the humans throughout the movie. Each of these have their own unique story, and they're all worth reading up on if you have the time. They're all really very interesting, and it's a real shame that the translation doesn't keep the true Japanese roots for the English audience. I'm not sure about other language translations. At the core of Pom Poko is definitely another environmentalist story about how humans are destroying nature by encroaching on animal environments. By showing this from the animals' point of view and what they are going through, it definitely makes for a more impactful storytelling and very accessible storytelling. It's also very sad at times to see how the tanuki are quite literally losing their lives because of the land expansion. At the same time, it's very much a tale of oppressed versus oppressor that is easily transferable onto a human lens. Indeed, we can even see that some of the tanuki shapeshift into human form to try and protect their land. Their peaceful resistance is met with violence in much the same way that land defenders are in real life. And near the end of the film, when the tanuki decide whether to stay as animals or live as humans, some of them end up working as land developers themselves, showing shockingly real parallels to how assimilation works when the oppressed become oppressors. I'm also aware that some people's enjoyment of this movie may hinge on the cultural aspects explored, yet not explained in other languages, including the animated magical tanuki balls. This may be funny for some younger folks, but it may seem offensive for adults in the room who think this is inappropriate. The important thing to remember here is that there is nothing sexual about this movie, and it is indeed an important exploration into other cultures. I only say this because I can definitely see the possibility to cross over into cultural insensitivity when discussing this movie, and to miss the messages viewed here entirely. At the end of the day, I hope this doesn't prevent anyone from watching, as this is yet another fine example of Studio Ghibli's ability to weave fantasy and reality in a movie that has both charming elements and hard-hitting realities for younger and older audiences. Plus, the transformation masters are probably the coolest dudes you'll ever see and aspire to be. Am I right? So if you want to see how I got this look inspired by the Pom Poko movie poster, then just stick around. I'm going to be starting with this matte red shade on the inner portion of my crease, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, so I'm going to be taking that on a very fine pencil thin brush and using that to draw a very thin line.
Next, I'm going to be using a matte cobalt blue shade, and I'm going to be continue on with the same brush in the middle portion of my crease, drawing again a very fine line. When that meets the red shade, that's going to turn kind of purple, and that's just fine because that'll help it blend. Lastly, I'm taking a matte bright green shade on the outer portion of my crease. I guess technically it's just above the crease. And I'm using again the same brush and a very thin line. And the reason I did this first is so I could go back in and use a little bit of concealer to clean up underneath if the line got too thick, and that's what I'm doing right now. Afterwards, I'm going to be taking a matte warm brown shade, and I'm starting using a thinner brush, a flatter brush, so I can get right up close to the line I created right on top of my crease there. Because if I use a brush that's too big, it's going to be very hard to get those two points of color to connect properly. But after I have that done, then I'll use a bigger brush and just kind of smack that color all over the lid. For the lower lash line, I'm taking a darker shade of warm brown, kind of a chocolate brown, and just running that over the lower lash line with the fluffier brush I used for the lid. And on each inner corner and brow bone, I'm taking a really shimmery sort of champagne peach shade. I'm also going to finish each eye with one coat of black mascara. And this is the finished eye look before we move on to the rest of the face. I'm going to be taking a warm sort of peach coral blush today, and it's a matte shade that I'm just going to take with a big fluffy brush all over my cheeks. And I'm also going to top that with a little bit of a peach duochrome highlighter. Last, I'm going to put on a cream finish lipstick that's sort of a mix of cinnamon and mauve colors. And this is a finished makeup look inspired by the Pom Poko movie poster.
I hope you enjoyed this Pom Poko review and a look. I will be carrying on with Whisper of the Heart, which is actually one of the lesser known and yet culturally significant movies from the Studio Ghibli catalog, as one of the characters from that movie has appeared throughout pop culture for many years now, so I hope you look forward to that one. Hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and well, and I hope to see you soon. Bye everyone.